May I have a few words with you?
Yes, of course.
Will you excuse me?
Well, how did your trip to Boston turn out?
Not too well.
Oh? What did the old man have to say?
I'm afraid Mr. Peyton wasn't seeing anyone.
Well, then what about your report?
It'll keep.
You didn't leave it?
No, I talked to your mother. She persuaded me that it would be wiser to wait until Mr. Peyton was stronger.
Yes, Mother can be very persuasive. A while back, I said I had some ideas about the mill.
May I join you?
Come in, come in.
I was just telling Mr. Schuster some of my thoughts about the mill.
Well, then I'm glad I came along.
I thought we might all learn something from our recent guest in town. Kenneth Markham had some interesting theories. As we all know, he believed in making a virtue out of failure.
What specifically did you have in mind?
Automation can mean a big investment, so try this one on for size. What about letting the mill go under? Why not let the old man write it off as a tax loss?
You mean scuttle the mill altogether?
Well, I admit it would have to be handled very carefully.
How do you think such a proposal will go over here in Peyton Place? It's utterly without conscience and unethical.
It's practical, in my opinion.
Think Martin Peyton will share that opinion?
I'm afraid I can't answer that. I mustn't abandon my date as bad matters. Shall we?
Interesting young man.
Yes, indeed.
Quality that he shares with his mother.
She's quite a formidable lady.
You know her?
I've met her. One doesn't exactly get to know people's housekeepers.
You consider her formidable?
Perhaps I should have said influential. I remember years ago, before the old man was taken ill, right here in this house.
Martin Peyton lived here?
Stephen Cord grew up here. Peyton was a lion of a man. And Steve's mother was closer to him than his own daughter. Catherine never forgave her for it. She exerted her own kind of influence. Mrs. Cord remained Mrs. Cord. I imagine it was rather a difficult situation to live with, at least for young Stephen.
You knew about this situation, and you invited him into your office?
You invited him into your house.
Yes, perhaps for the same reason. I think we share a common instinct about Mr. Cord. He's a lad worth watching.
Have a nice wallow in your memories?
I just gave you a lovely excuse to escape. Quit complaining.
Answer the question.
I'm not on the witness stand.
No?
No.
Then what'd you come for? We're both on trial here, Betty. You know it and I know it. To this rather biased jury, we're pleading our right to belong here.
You really have an obsession about this house, don't you?
Don't tell me you haven't visualized yourself as mistress of this place. Let's not lie to each other.
Sure, I visualized it.
And here we are eating and drinking and talking in these rooms as equals. I suppose that's what I mean. I don't know. I do know it's a good feeling not to have to call anyone sir.
I know what you mean.
I think you do.
Isn't it nice, dear? Mrs. Schuster has agreed to work with the hospital auxiliary.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, where's Mrs. Schuster?
Will you excuse me? Oh, Dr. Rossi, I was just trying to reach
Mrs.
you.
Schuster, this is Mrs. Chernick's daughter, Stella. Where is Mrs. Chernick?
Well, I think she's in the dining room. Is there something wrong?
Well, yes, sir. We'd like to talk to her alone.
Oh, of course. Oh, please come with me.
Thank you.
Mrs. Chernick, your daughter is here to see you.
Mama.
Miss Chernick, there's been a tragic accident. Your son, Joe, he's dead.
Oh, no.
Mr. Swain?
Oh,
Hello, Mr. Carson. I was looking for Mr. Swain.
I just took him to the airport in Boston.
Oh.
He didn't want to make a fuss, wanted to go away quietly without saying goodbye. He must be in New York by now, taking the plane tomorrow for India. You know, it was kind of exciting, seeing somebody off on a trip to India.
Yeah, I bet it is.
I think I got a bigger kick out of it than Matt did. He couldn't forget about the Clarion. Last thing he asked me to do was correct the final editorial. These writers.
Well, goodbye. Goodbye, Mr.
Oh,
Carson.
can't I do anything?
No, I just wanted to talk to Mr. Swain.
Yes, well, Matt was very good at that. He was talking about you young folks on the way to the airport.
Was he?
You're the ones that he's going to miss, Allison and you and Norman. He said he hated to leave you boys with your father gone, but I told him I thought you could take care of yourselves.
I'm glad you told him that.
Any word from your father?
Oh, yeah.
Any chance of him coming back here?
Well, he didn't mention any.
I realize that you've known Matt for a long time, and I guess I'm just the fellow that takes care of the chandlery, but Allison tells me I'm a pretty good listener.
Allison's lucky to have you.
It'd be easier if Matt were here.
I don't think so, Mr. Carson. Good night.
Rodney, wait a minute.
From the continuing story of Peyton Place.
Why are we talking about my mother all of a sudden? I mean, what's she got to do with Joe Chernick? You ready to believe I killed Joe Chernick?
Betty, where are you going? Mother. I have to ask.
No, you don't. You have to trust me.
Just one more question, Miss Chernick.
Why don't you talk to Rodney Harrington?
Rodney Harrington?
That's right. He was here looking for Joey.